Hey everyone, welcome to Soul Cafe. We're so glad you're here, and I think we have a lot of exciting stuff for you Colombians tonight because we're going to talk. We're going to talk about Christmas. So
Yes,
Christmas, Aaron.
I know. I can't
It's
wait.
I know, but it's coming fast. I think faster than usual, and it's been
Yeah.
different. It's been different.
Yeah. Jude this afternoon was saying that he thought it was Tuesday. And I said, no, I have Soul Cafe tonight. And he goes, it's Wednesday. It's already Wednesday. It's going so fast.
I know. Well, that's
Yeah.
how we measure time. Soul
Yeah.
Cafe and worship, right?
Sundays and Wednesdays. Exactly.
So what's
Middle of my week.
missing from your Christmas celebration this year?
Not maybe Christmas Eve dinner, maybe. We
Maybe
haven't made a
you're not
final
going to do that.
we haven't made
There's
a
no.
final call. Well, I will or will not have just gotten home from the hospital. So
Okay.
we
All
haven't
right.
decided yet whether we're going to have people
All right,
come.
we got to talk about that. So, Aaron, I think people in the church should pray for you because what's going to happen on the 22nd of December?
I am parting with 3 ounces of my anatomy. My kidney is coming out and going to a worthy recipient.
So
Yeah.
this was motivated by something that we covered in a previous show. So we had a close friend and church member who needed a kidney, and you were willing. And
Yep.
then when that was done, you said, "Why
Yeah.
not?"
I mean, well, even at the beginning when I started learning about the stats, 13 people die every day waiting for a kidney. 14 people get added to the list of needing a kidney. And, God created us with two. I think Leighton told me last night that you're born with 400 times the kidney function you need. So once I started learning all of that and realizing that it was a relatively safe procedure and that most people healthy under 50 could withstand it, I said, keep me in. And if someone else needs it, since Lucas has gotten his, I'll make it available. So by the grace of God, I was matched to someone actually here local in Falls Church. And they offered us dates within 3 weeks. So here we are
So
going
we
in.
we
Yeah.
we can't give names, but a teacher. It's so cool. I think.
Yeah.
So you're able to give a kidney to someone, and you want to do it, and so the 22nd you're going to do it. Why? Could you wait till after Christmas?
I could have waited. They had surgery dates in January. She's pretty sick, so she kind of really needs it as soon as possible, which is, not the reason you make the decision. But I just figured actually, like my office only gets off one day for
Hmm.
Christmas, and it's a time when most people will be sort of slow. So that I wouldn't be too stressed out about being away
Yeah.
from and things like that. It felt like it actually made sense. So I just
So
said,
you,
why not?
you get a little vacation
Yeah,
afterwards, and but Christmas, I don't know. It's going to
yeah.
be different, but
Different.
maybe you feel good for Christmas dinner. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I think again, we were talking on the show earlier. I've been through two major abdominal surgeries with both my children being born, and it's more just your core is pretty important to your mobility, so that's the only thing. But Rob Rogers made it hard for anyone looking at this to think that it's going to be too
True
different.
that.
He was
That's
he
true.
was up and running and just fine in a week, so
Yeah, yeah.
he made it look easy.
He made me feel guilty. Like I should be in better shape. But anyway, yeah. So that's great. I think, and I would just ask everyone who watches Soul Cafe to pray for Aaron and to pray for the recipient of the kidney because if you're going to give a kidney, you want it to function well, and you
Yep.
want this person to do well. So that's
Yeah.
going to be a different Christmas. You're giving a big gift, so that's kind of cool. That's a Christmas thing.
Yeah.
So you don't know about the rest of the traditions, though. So
Yeah, I haven't really figured out what else we're going to be doing differently. So
yeah, I
we're,
think we're
we're
all going to be
taking
at.
it
I
at a
think
time.
we're all going to be at home. So
Yeah,
you'll be no different than the rest of us
yeah,
because yeah, the COVID thing's pretty bad right now.
yeah. That's what they say.
Ah,
I haven't,
that's
I haven't been
what I
getting that.
hear from church members too. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm watching people suffer from this. So it's crazy. All right. So we thought, we'd talk about Christmas tonight and what the church is doing because, normally, I mean, I think I've received more emails than I ever have from people saying, I never realized how central the church was to my celebration of something. So they say, I always come to the Broadway musical, I always do this, always do that. And, you know, none of that this year.
yeah,
So we started thinking, so virtually, what would that look like? I think there's some things you can't replace virtually, but
right.
our team has been working to figure out what you can. And so we're going to talk about the Broadway style musical tonight, which I think is going to be very different, sort of a series of sketches, maybe like Saturday Night Live-ish. I don't know, Sunday Morning Live-ish. I don't know what we call this, but it's going to be different, but it will be great. And that will be this coming Saturday night. And we want to talk about that. And then Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
which for me, maybe not for everybody, for me, big loss.
Yeah.
Just not being there with everybody is
Yeah.
huge. So what can we do to sort of mitigate? That's a word right now, to mitigate that right now.
Yeah. So I admit it, I just for the sake of everyone watching this, including me, Christmas Eve, there's no in person, right? It's all virtual, the service.
Yeah, all virtual. I mean, we couldn't figure out a safe way to do it.
Right.
There's just no way around.
Many people would have had to back out of being able to be there.
Well, I mean, people are packed in.
Yeah.
How do you get people in on a cold night?
Yeah.
They line up out the sidewalk, they go out, and then they pass candle flame to each other.
Yeah.
You have to be close to do that. So there was no way to, there was just no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was hard. It was a hard realization, but I think we have a good kind of a cool substitute we'll never forget, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway,
Awesome.
So what else is your family losing in this time? So visits to Santa, do you do that?
Admittedly, we don't, but I imagine some people, we've never done that. We have no pictures of our kids on Santa's
Well, you could have come through this past week in the
we've
drive-through.
done that. Our
You
kids
could
are
have
a
seen,
little older now, so I don't know that we would benefit from it.
well,
but
you could see Santa and Mrs. Santa this past Saturday. That's past now, but yeah, that was kind of cool.
Miss Santa's list.
But
No.
I don't know about seeing Santa through glass or so we're going to go to this thing with our daughters to see Santa in a snow globe.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
That sounds creepy to me. I don't know.
It just sounds super weird. It's like
It's
the
creepy.
picture and everything. It's just,
I don't know.
I know we never did get to talk to Tyson's Corner because remember they're doing something in person, but we tried to get them to come on and talk to us about what they were doing different. But I guess I'll see on Saturday. We're going up to the mall to go get some Christmas shopping done. So maybe we'll go see.
Well, if you're going to go to the mall, let me know how that works out. I will not be there. All right, let's see if Aaron, the other Aaron, has something to give us tonight. So
Christmas caroling, yeah.
I don't know. Did they work on that song from last week? They're sideways, but
Maybe. There we go.
Now they're okay. Now we're right.
There we go.
So
I still don't understand why on the Zoom when you move me from the green room in, it always switches the view back to sideways.
Dude, you got to be on a computer and a good mic. We've been talking about mics. Yeah. So are you going to repeat last week's piece?
Well, I think we kind of like committed ourselves because we
did
started one and then we
redemption.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't off. I mean, it sounded pretty good to me until you said you said it didn't, and then you quit. So
well, Mandy was just having trouble hearing the note, so but we totally got it locked in.
Needed a little more than 20 minutes practice prior to going
This is a marriage counseling session coming. I can help you, but it's going to take a while.
You need a telephone.
But
no, that's what we did with you and Cyril earlier. That's different.
Yeah.
I also have another song, if you guys have time, that is a little more holiday spirit themed.
Okay. All right. I think we can do that.
Yeah.
Both obscure though, as I am wont to do. Right?
Okay. Make it happen.
All right. This one's called "Talk About Suffering." It's a very upbeat kind of thing, and it's all a cappella. Talk about suffering here below, and let's keep following Jesus. Talk about suffering here below, and let's keep loving Jesus. The gospel train is coming. Now don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and troubles here below? Oh, can't you hear it, Father? And don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and troubles here below. Talk about suffering here below, and let's keep loving Jesus. Talk about suffering here below, and let's keep loving Jesus. Oh, can't you hear it, Mother? Now don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and troubles here below? The gospel train is coming. Now don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and troubles here below, and troubles here below, and troubles here below.
Well, you guys got that one right. I mean, that was good. That's a little Pete Seeger.
Yeah,
Pete
that was
Seeger.
good.
Yeah, Pete
It's
Seeger
old.
did that one. I
It's
love
old.
that song.
This
Yeah.
was one of the ones that kind of came over from probably the British Isles at some point and kind of got
Yeah.
adapted.
It's a good piece. I got to tell you, though, not very Christmassy.
Nope, not at all.
No.
Not very
No.
Christmassy.
Good. I liked
So,
it.
I mean,
So
look,
I think
look,
my
look what I
next-
got going on here.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
You need some. You got. Do you have any Christmas up in your house, Aaron?
Yeah. It's all downstairs.
Okay. Yeah, it's everywhere here.
We've got it on the front.
It's just everywhere.
We've
Yeah,
got this.
that's good. That's nice.
And we have our little holiday card thing.
Oh, I saw that. That's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
And the fire in the background, rub it in.
It's a nice touch. Did you light the fire just for tonight, or was this like already there? And
We've been doing quite a lot of these fires and just enjoying them this year. I don't
It's
know.
my favorite way to
these fires. I know.
These
I love fire.
Setting fires. all
And
over.
that's the real thing too. I pointed that out earlier. I could tell
Yeah.
that's not gas. That
That's
is
right.
wood.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Real
real deal.
different.
So you can
Yep.
smell it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It'll
That and
affect
the
your
pine, all that. Yep.
it'll affect your breathing tomorrow.
Yep. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
I'm gonna off
Okay.
stage right.
Oh, she's
so,
not in. She's not in this one.
Nope.
No, she decided to exit stage left, I guess.
See you later.
This one is it's a Reba McEntire song that I know I'd heard before, but I kind of forgot about it.
Oh, I love
But then a Texas musician that I follow named Cody Johnson covered it, and he kind of like switched it from like female to male kind of words. So I really enjoyed his cover of it. So I'm gonna try that one tonight.
Go get
And
it.
It's definitely sort of like winter themed, so I feel like it's somewhat appropriate. All right. You spend an awful lot of time in Massachusetts. Seems like every other weekend there's a meeting waiting there. Business must be booming, or could something else be moving in the air up there? You say that it's important for our future. An executive on her way up has got to play the part. And each time duty calls, you gotta give it all. You got with all your heart. So when whoever's in New England's through with you, and Boston finds better things to do, you know it's not too late, 'cause you'll always have a place to come back to. When whoever's in New England's through with you. I hear the winter time up north can last forever. I've been told it's beautiful to see this time of year. They say the snow can blind you till the world you've left behind just disappears, I hear. I packed your bags and left them in the hallway. But before you leave again, there's something I think you ought to know. When the icy wind blows through you, remember that it's me who feels the cold most of all. So when whoever's in New England moves with you, and things to do, you know it's not too late, 'cause you'll always find a way to come back to when whoever's in New England's through with you.
Nice. I'm not sure that was Christmas either, but it was
I
winter.
think it is.
Okay.
It's winter.
Winter. It was winter.
Yeah. It talks
All
about
right.
this time of year. That works too, doesn't it?
All right. So yeah, it does. I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
So we've got one more week before we're on a couple week break for Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
So your challenge next week with that candy cane sweater and the fire is to come up with like like Christmas Time's a Comin' by Emmylou Harris or something like that. I mean,
I was pressing this week for that, but
you were?
yeah.
So I'm with Mandy on this one.
Yeah.
Just on this one. I'm not siding. Just think a little Christmas. No, that was good. That was a good piece though. Two good songs. You guys got that first one. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one we sang all the way through Oklahoma.
Right.
Well, it worked in Virginia. That was good.
All right.
Love you both. Thanks so much.
You too. Good to see y'all.
We'll see you soon. You too, man.
Guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, Aaron. So we should probably think about Christmas a little more because it's coming fast. So, we've been working hard to make Christmas work at Columbia, and, it's been kind of interesting. So one of the persons that had kind of had a dream for this was Emily Brown. And Emily thought we could do the Broadway musical in a different way. And so she has put in a ton of work. I mean, a lot of work. And so, Emily, be sure to unmute before we talk to you here. So, Emily, what was your dream to make the Broadway style musical happen?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we wanted to do something this Christmas, and we knew that Christmas was going to be different, and the idea in my head wasn't so much how do we make a Broadway musical in a virtual world. It was how can we address the feelings that people are going to be dealing with this Christmas, and how can our presentation of whatever we do speak to that. And so instead of doing a traditional Broadway style music or modifying it so that it would be a virtual musical, we decided we needed to go a completely different direction. And so our program is kind of songs and sketches related to this COVID pandemic and addressing the feelings that we have this Christmas that is unconventional.
Yeah, it is. So I mean, so the past couple of years or 3 years, I've been really deeply involved in this experience of people being in the house and lots of acting happening on the stage. And I got to tell you, I couldn't see how this would work, and I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see Saturday. But you had a vision for how this could actually become something uniquely fitted to the season, and so you just kind of gave a description. But how does it have to be different than an on-stage presentation?
Well, for one, the obvious is that it has to be virtual. And
Yeah.
so an onstage presentation at the time we were thinking about this in September, things had begun to reopen up a little bit. We're trying to figure out what would be possible in December, but not knowing what December was going to look like. And obviously now we see, spikes in cases. We obviously couldn't have people coming in and watching something. Could we do a stage production that we could then present, virtually? Or should we do something that will be I guess I shouldn't say easier, but maybe a little bit more contained? And that
No,
was
I don't think it's easier.
no, it's not easier as it
I
turns
think
out.
it may be harder in some ways, as we'll talk about
but
in a little while.
but more contained in terms of like, well, this is going to be a sketch and these three people are involved versus a huge stage production where you've got a ton of a huge cast that's all got to somehow try to figure out how to act together. So that was kind of one of the moments where we switched to that mindset of not having a huge overarching story drama presentation, but these smaller snippets of drama that would again address some of the feelings.
So I happen to know there are 11 songs. I know that because I've heard all about
Well,
Butch editing 11
that
songs.
that's Butch.
And yeah, that's Butch. And because he just said before we came on, I'm a perfectionist, and so it's got to be there. So 11 songs, and how many sketches of So these are like Saturday Night Live sketches, except
Some of
in our
them,
context.
yeah. Yeah, some of them, a lot of it meant to be humorous and to be a little bit lighter in this heavy season of loss and the loss of the things that we're used to. Um, there there were there's like 4 or 5 sketches. I'm not sure. We had to cut a few things. I think it's 5 now.
So 5 sketches, 11 songs.
Oh,
Mhm.
what's the running time on that? Hour and a half. I'm sitting there going, it's like a feature film.
It's like an hour and 15, an hour and a half. I don't know. We'll see when it's all said and done.
I guess because it hasn't been fully edited yet.
Well,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah,
still
no,
being edited. I happen to know that people are still editing. So,
yeah.
and then this will debut on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. And how much do you think it's important for people to watch it at the debut and not later? This is kind of curious for me because I deal with this with worship. I think people can watch it later, but I think there's something to people watching it together. So,
Hmm.
how many people do you hope will watch it right when it's debuted?
Everyone. I mean, it's the push to get people to watch it and make it a premiere. And it's this thing that, even though we're doing it inside our homes, we're all kind of doing it together and a part of a larger conversation about, what is Christmas really, and how can we, I don't know, how can we celebrate it together apart? Yeah, we would love it if people could watch it, and that's one of the reasons why we try to make it at 6, early enough that the little kids can be a part of it before they get into bed, and that's what my kids will be doing on Saturday night.
So good. So who's been involved in this? I mean, how many actors? How many singers? How many musicians? It's probably less than usual, but how many people have been involved in this production?
Ooh, I don't actually know the answer to that question because usually I do because I have to build the program, that we then print out and hand out. But I don't offhand know. I mean, it's been a significant number of people. Um, each drama bit has 3 or more actors involved, and then we've had the orchestra record and the choir record. We've had Elevate Kids, which the kids record a piece. We've had people that have submitted things from home, the either the choir or the orchestra if they didn't feel comfortable being in person, and we've had a lot of people to submit different, different pictures and photos of their lights and things like that. So there've been little ways that other people or larger Columbia has been involved in the program too. So I can't say exactly how many people have been involved, but it's been a lot.
Yeah, we submitted pictures. Did you, Aaron?
I don't think we did. I think it's
Oh,
still
man.
time. I know. We just got our decorations up. It was.
Okay.
I remember
Well,
when I saw the ask. It was about you
I
had to
think
be
the
in 20
deadline was Sunday, so
Yeah.
maybe they'll get you in anyway. Okay, so so we've got 2 other people hanging out there. So who should we bring in?
Let's bring in Butch.
Okay. So Butch King, our pastor of worship, music, and arts, and Butch has been intimately involved in this. And Butch, I have it on good authority, that is from you, that you haven't slept in 2 days. Is that true?
That's true.
I don't even know how someone does that. Like, what does that mean for real? Like, for real,
Caffeine, lots of coffee.
have not closed your eyes for naps, nothing?
No,
He's editing.
I could never do that.
Well, I mean,
I don't recommend it.
this is where people don't, I think, know what it takes to do what's done week in, week out, because the editing, just producing different pieces. Maybe Butch, you'll disagree with me. It's way harder, in my opinion, than doing what we used to do and will do again someday
Yeah.
on Sunday.
Well,
It's just
it's
way
much
harder.
Yeah.
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 In the live setting, you do it, you leave it.
Yeah.
You can have distractions in a live setting, but when somebody's watching the TV, they're watching the computer, whatever it is, every little detail gets accentuated.
Yeah.
And it just takes time. Oh, well, give us, we've got 50 video tracks of virtual choir and orchestra. Well, you just can't say, hey, computer, take it over. You have to tell the computer, I want this picture at this size and this spot on the screen. And I spent, I don't know, 8 hours just moving pictures or moving videos for Carol of the Bells
Oh, man.
yesterday.
And so Chris is doing some editing, though. I think he slept a little more than you have. I talked to him today, and he said,
he slept. So
he
I
slept a
did.
little more.
Chris and William have kept all the video stuff for Sundays going, and I mean, in COVID times, the entire team is gone above and beyond just to make Sunday mornings happen, and there was no way that William was going to have the bandwidth to do this and keep Sundays. Sundays, even every Christmas season, I've told choir and orchestra, Sunday comes first. We want to do the big things, but Sunday's got to be executed first. So I kept their focus on that. They helped with some of the video shoots on location and that kind of thing, but all of the video, as far as drama and music, is coming off my computer. Chris is taken like the photos that were submitted for this week. You kind of have to have Christmas trees up and lights for some of those features. So we knew coming into this week what it would look like. So I asked Chris to just be prepared to take over those items.
Now, to be fair, you're the one who chose 11 songs, I'm told.
Yeah.
I'm told by everyone.
Yeah, I am the one who did that, but it flows. You didn't want to have drama. And there was some wisdom. So it's not like every single song you're going to see the choir members. That would get old.
Mm-hmm.
So, the orchestra is going to be playing a piece, overture, and there'll be pictures. So it's not like there's a lot of video editing on that. It's still time. And I don't want to diminish that. But the choir and orchestra will be seen on 4 songs.
Mm-hmm.
Kids will be seen on 2. So
is this fun, Butch?
It was, yes, it's fun. It's fun. I enjoyed the challenge, but I will say that this Christmas, hands down, the most difficult in 25 years of ministry.
Yeah, I think the thing, you do a play live, and it is what it is, and we afterwards we go, man, that could have been better. This could have been better, whatever. But it was what it was.
Yeah.
And the problem with editing is you can keep working on it.
You
so
keep
you never
manipulating
finish.
for sure.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
about that, because I think it's really, and of course everyone should, I have a backdoor sort of vision of what's happening because my husband's the one that's usually over at the church when you guys are filming. And I've been asking him, he's like, I don't know. I'm just there. I'm helping out. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to ask them because I'm curious, because I do a lot of content pieces during the week. And there was a point in this whole pandemic that I just made the decision that, you know what, people are very used to seeing things be natural, for whatever reason. Still 10 months into this, most people still can't remember to unmute themselves or mute themselves when they need to and things like that. So it seems very natural. And Jim and I have had to film before where we both have said, we're one take Charlies. And so, it's just interesting to me, what made you guys make the decision to actually build a production around this versus truly just filming it through Zoom and making that part easier on you?
Well, Emily had written the script for this coming Christmas. It was ready, last fall. January 1 hit, I had the script and was going to do music to it. What she didn't say in the intro, when we decided back in July or August, it was late July that Jim and I had the conversation.
I said July. There's no way this is going to happen live.
Yeah. She wrote the script in 3 weeks, and we had our choir retreat on the annual second weekend of September. So things just really moved quickly. But you don't want to sit. You're not going to watch a TV program. You're not going to watch a movie and see 4 people on a screen having a conversation for an hour. Right. That's not gonna keep the interest visual. So you've got to continue moving.
Wait, don't say that. Every week from 7 to 8, we do that.
But you still have variety.
I hope people still think it's cool.
Yeah, but you still have variety in this segment with Aaron and Mandy.
Yeah.
Y'all have a conversation, Aaron and Mandy. So it's a variety. It's not a variety show, but there's variety within this hour. You bring in different panelists. Yeah. So,
this is a different deal. It's a conversation. So it is really different than a production. And I would say, I'm amazed every week at what happens. It takes, there's a lot involved in every week, more than we've learned. I will say this, we've learned a lot, and you guys have just stepped up and up and up. I bet you never edited this much video before this moment.
I haven't edited in not quite 20 years, 15 years.
That's totally different. So, this is completely different software.
Yeah. YouTube is my friend, and I've had a little bit of on the side conversations with some people. But, I did it 20 years ago, and I haven't had to do it in ministry for the last probably 15 years. So totally new software, never touched it until 2 months ago. So learned something new today. So
well, let's bring our director in, shall we? Because he's directed many a production. Well, he's been acted in many a production and directed a couple of productions on the stage. And Scott, I'm interested in knowing how is this one different than anything else you've ever done? You're muted.
Hey, this is a scene in the program, by the way.
Yeah, but it's Santa.
I did that on purpose.
Okay.
I was contemplating my new favorite Christmas carol. Let's just talk about suffering. Last year, a guy comes to me and says, "Hey, how would you like to direct our production?" I said, "Okay, well, I've never directed anything."
You did a great job, so thanks for saying yes to him.
So I had to learn how to do that. And this year, I'm told, "Oh, by the way, we're not going to be able to have a live show. So, what would you think about directing a movie?" "Oh, okay. Well, I'll just try to learn how to do that." So, I actually got to say things like, "Action, cut."
I only recorded one piece with you guys, but what I learned was.
And it's sound stuff. I don't understand a thing about it. I just do what the sound guy tells me. He clearly knows what he's doing. But it was very different. I guess the good part is you don't have to do everything perfectly the first time. You don't like that one? Let's start over. And so you start over. But
is that the bad thing too, though?
Yeah.
Because if perfection is does it become your enemy? Do you just keep doing it, doing it, doing it? I mean, I've often done, I've cut a lot of stuff over the years, not just during this, but what I find is that I can go through about 8 takes, and that very often my first take was the better one in terms of the energy,
Yeah.
etc.
Well, Emily and I were shooting a scene, and the rehearsing was not going well because as soon as one of us would get it right, the other one would mess something up, and so then we were practicing. Let's say, okay, let's just shoot one, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we shoot that one. It's perfect.
Nailed it on the first try.
First time, perfect. We shot another one just to say we did, because apparently you never should just shoot one. But we knew it was not going to be as good.
Well, the
First one.
sound guy said it could be better. I've been there. I know.
Okay, the sound guy thought everything
You
could be
thumped
better.
your test, or you did something. There's something that you did.
Don't bad talk that sound guy though. That is the best sound
He
guy
is
I've ever
excellent.
had.
He
I've
is
ever
excellent.
seen. I've ever worked with. My microphone is on every time when it's supposed to be on. So I'm a big fan of our sound guy.
He is excellent, no doubt. But he's more perfectionistic than Butch, and that's saying something.
Very much, yes. He's a professional guy. The rest
Yeah.
of us rank amateurs.
So what do you hope people will get when they watch this? What Scott, as a director, when you're in the room and you feel the energy, there's something to that, and you knew it as an actor, and that's why I asked you to direct. But what do you hope that people will get virtually from this?
Well, for the person doing the acting, it's difficult when there's no reaction coming from, no matter how poignant or funny or surprising your line may be, and how perfect your delivery may be. You get nothing. You get nothing from that little camera lens that you're looking at, and so it's hard to tell how it's going. And so uh, I'm guessing that probably Saturday evening will be the first time I'll really see this whole thing put
Right.
together too. Um, and I have a feeling I'm going to like it quite a bit, just because the pieces have been so fun to do when they all link together. I think it'll be good. I did
Well,
think I don't know if it was in bed or in the shower. I'm thinking, we should have tried a laugh track. But then I thought, well, that'll make Butch's head explode. So I'm not going to introduce that option.
You'll just introduce it live on Soul Cafe.
Well, sure. So everyone, make sure you
that.
laugh. at
now
all the
Butch
right
is going to
spots.
leave, and he's going to stay up till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
trying to make that happen. So
Just
you get a feel for. I know exactly what you mean, because you get a feel for what I feel preaching to that, because it is very different. It is really different. But you adjust, you figure out, and you do start to imagine who's out there. You start to think about that. So Emily, when you were writing about this, what is the audience you imagine for this?
Well, so I have young children, and usually when I write, I have them in mind, because I want to write something that my children are going to sit through because they're little, and I want to share something with them, and they don't always have the easiest time sitting through things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want young families to be able to enjoy this and to enjoy this with their kids, but I also wanted it to not be so juvenile that others won't enjoy it. So that's kind of what I had in mind as I wrote the program last year that we didn't end up doing, but also this year, that
Mm-hmm.
I want young families to be able to actually enjoy this together and to be a part of it, especially because this, all this being virtual, we're in our homes, and so our kids are right there with us. And if I want to watch something, it's got to be something that my kids can watch with me.
Yeah,
Occasionally, I would say, "Well, Emily, how about we put this in?" And they go, "Well, there's going to be kids watching."
Yeah,
it's
I have a different sense of
prime
humor
time,
than
Scott.
Emily's kids.
We can't do that. This is Palmolive hour. So, I know it, when I write either a sermon or when I wrote 3 Broadway style musicals of a sort. I could envision the audience, and I got to tell you, I think this one's harder, and it's harder to write a sermon for this. And I'm preaching a little differently, and you're writing a little differently. When you can sort of see the audience out there, you can it eases the writing process. So apparently, your family was your picture of what you would write for, and I guess hopefully other people of other generations too who will enjoy this.
Yeah, I will say I don't think that it's just for young families. I think that the themes and the things that we address in the program are going to resonate with all ages.
Hmm. So, Butch, before we jump forward, I asked you the other day. I said, "Hey, is this?" I actually did say to you, "Is this worth it?" Because one of my questions was, "Is this a year we just don't do this?" And because it's a lot of work, and I can see the toll it takes. And your answer was, "Hey, I'm online with all of my compatriots who are worship music and arts people in other churches, and Christmas has just sort of been canceled because they weren't ready for this." So, you just said, "In my view, it's worth it." So, tell me, is it worth it? Tell
It,
everyone.
it is definitely worth it. I always view whatever we do from a production standpoint during the month of December, whether it's in a worship service or the Broadway style musical, that's kind of a launch point. When we go as a team and as a church go through the fire of putting something like this together, we gain a new skill set that then the Lord can use in our lives and in our ministry for the upcoming year. And I've seen that skill set not just in my own workflow, but for the entire team. Every team member of worship, music, and arts has been stretched, has been pulled, and you're seeing a cohesion that's actually taken place, which is exciting for me. It's worth it because we're still called to be the hands and feet of Christ to the community that we're called to. We're still called to point our congregation to remember the hope and the peace and the love of this time. So it's definitely worth it. And as we've crafted this musical, um, one of the things that I wanted to make sure was that there were familiar elements to Christmas, so that as people experience this production, they will say, "Yes, it's Christmas time." So
Hmm.
that's reflected in the script. It's reflected in quite honestly a lot of the music. It's not that you know there's just some classic elements that regardless of your age and your demographic, when you hear the song you think Christmas,
Hmm.
and those type pieces are in this musical along with some new ones. But I wanted to make sure that we had those familiar tones for people to hear, so definitely worth it.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it. So, Aaron, you're actually intimately connected to someone who's been intimately connected to this presentation. So he's coming home late a lot of nights.
Yep.
You get to talk for Cyril. What's he saying about this production?
It's just that it's making a movie. I mean, I think it's probably the same. We came from LA in the entertainment industry, right? So we kind of lived this life before we moved back to Virginia. And even when you guys started going live on the weekends, I remember him talking through of just like it's a mind shift. Everyone has to understand we're producing TV shows now, not
Hmm.
not sermons. We're producing a movie here, not a play, and that those take, to Butch's point, very different skill sets and different ways of thinking about it. And there's a reason there's entire industries and professionals that like do this for a living. It's hard work, and you
Hmm.
guys have been at it trying to just learn. I know he was on the phone with like our lighting guys that we used to use in the events world, trying to learn how to use the new boards and trying to figure out how to light not for in person but for in person and on screen. And so I'm sure every one of you guys has been going through the same thing of just having to vacillate between the live and the virtual at the same time. I guess for this one you didn't really have to plan for in person, right? Because there was no one actually watching the play being recorded, but
Right.
still, exercising a lot of those same muscles. So
Yeah.
and still needing to produce a few sets and things like that. So admittedly, at first when you told me you guys were going virtual with this, I thought it was going to be Zoom. I was like, oh, well, hallelujah, I get my husband back for Christmas season. And he said, oh no, we're doing it the hard way. We're building sets. We're still filming it live. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she's like, I just wanted you home. So yeah, he's been busy for sure, but I'm excited to see how it will pay off.
Well, so the thing is that's one thing about virtual to me is I guess it's every Sunday that there are a lot of people behind the scenes. But when you talk about virtual, there are probably 3 times as many people behind the scenes who are doing various things. There's somebody on, when you talk about a Sunday, there are 10 people on boards and computers trying to make this seem together. And I can see them from where I'm sitting, except for the new room over there that Butch built that I can't see the people, but I know they're over there. And yet all this is happening. And it's just, it is so much more complicated. So, but Cyril thinks it's fun, apparently. I
He's
don't
a
know.
creative.
Yeah, he is creative, and he thinks it's fun to see the lights and everything happen. So you've got people like that, just everywhere that are causing things to happen.
Yeah. I mean, he's been used to doing the live events, and I do know he came home quite a few times just being excited about really getting to understand what you do in a film shoot per se, because that is what you guys you're doing. You're making a movie, like you said. So it is a different way of looking at the production. So I know that's been exciting for him.
Well, the first scene that we shot, which will be, what, 5 minutes, 7-minute runtime. It was an 8-hour shoot on location.
Right.
That doesn't count the editing.
And
that's
the editing.
Just take the gear. Right. The editing, another 40 hours? I don't know. Right. I didn't keep a log. But yeah.
Also, in the beginning, we didn't know as much what we
didn't know what we were doing. We still don't know what we're doing.
You might not have done it.
I think we had 11 takes in one of the scenes, and that was just maybe a scream or something.
Well, what choice do you have? I mean, here you are, you just kind of do it, and you learn as you go. Yeah. But yeah, I get that. Exactly.
I mean, I'm interested because Scott, you've been in all of these plays, at least as many as I've seen. And, whenever I listen to like actors podcasts and stuff, and so many of the actors prefer the stage, but they talk about how that's just extraordinarily different. And it's interesting to me because, to your point, you guys had to stop, start, record again, stop, start. Did the experience rock you from what you were used to being able to like ride along the emotional roller coaster for the entire play, because you're just live the whole time, and you got to you sort of get your head in that frame of mind, and then you just go, and when the play's over, that's when it's done. Whereas when you're doing this, I imagine you realize you're like picking it up, starting it, pulling emotion back, waiting a minute, picking it back up, and that's got to be just such a different thing to adjust to.
Well, the live production, when you get to that point, it is a little more fun. Just because there's okay, I've got 34 seconds for this costume change, and I got to be this person, and then now I'm running, and now I'm running, and now I'm throwing this, and I'm getting this other thing on, and I've got to be on this spot in 34 seconds, and then okay, now I'm this person again, and here we go with another thing, and it's it's juggling at high speed, and then this is completely different, and you don't have that. But now I've got to think, okay, we're doing the 11th take of this particular thing. We had to think about the likes of continuity. Okay, but that thing that you moved from point A to point B, it ended up over here. You can't start now with it over here. You got to make sure it's over there. They've got whole jobs around that. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have that. We just had to, where was that? I don't know. I think it's over there.
Right.
It's a whole different set of things.
It's totally, it is tough, Scott. So what I found is, you have to find a way to generate this energy from within, and it requires some imagination to think of who's out there. So for me, I told Debbie after we'd been doing this a couple of weeks, I'm preaching 2 sermons instead of 4 or most weeks 5. And so I came home after a few weeks, and Debbie said, well, this is easier. You're doing two sermons on a Sunday. And I'm like, I am 10 times more exhausted after these 2 than I was after 5, or even if I did 6 in front of a crowd. There is something about having to generate that energy from within that makes me respect people who do this on a regular basis, because I don't find it easy to do. I'm better at it than I was. I'm learning a skill too, but I don't find it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's
just
just
hard in a different way.
it's
Yeah.
just it's
Well-
just a different kind of thing.
And the preparation, we're used to having rehearsals on Tuesday nights from September until now. Scott's used to having drama rehearsals on Sundays at 1:30, 1:30 to 3:30 with the whole drama team, and you're in the room together and you're cohesive and you build a rapport with each other. All of that has been built over Zoom. All of it.
And you
We
can't
had-
hear each other when you're rehearsing over.
No.
Zoom.
You can't
No.
feel each other.
The-
There's a
the-
lack of
the
nuance
body
in Zoom
language.
meetings. It's just
So-
totally different.
So you're running your lines as we're having a conversation here, and Scott would be like, Emily, why don't you try to do such and such? And that's how he had to direct the actors via Zoom. And then you go on location and you're for the very first time in that space. And you may get 30 minutes to get comfortable, and then we're shooting cameras, So it's been a
And all
completely
of a
different
sudden,
experience.
that space is completely different than you've been picturing it for the
Yeah.
last 3
Yeah.
months.
Mhm.
And then you look at the orchestra. The orchestra hasn't played together since March, and because of COVID. And they came in socially distanced on a Tuesday night, had about an hour-long session, and then came in on that Saturday and recorded all day long, socially distanced, safely. But there's a rapport as a musician of living in the music with each other and connecting your heart and all, and that by God's grace, it came together.
Yeah.
But it's been a completely different experience all
When
the way
we
around.
were doing the orchestra rehearsal, we came in, and the first thing that we played together, I mean, we sounded awful. This is the first time we played together since March. We sounded really bad, but everyone was just so thankful to be in the room with each other that it was like, yes, we did that. We played together. It was amazing. It sounded awful, but we were so happy to be able to be with each other and to actually hear each other playing and to see where my part fits in with someone else's. And so
But the
yeah.
recording does not sound awful.
No.
Brian's done a great job with the recording. So I haven't even been able to listen to it all yet. So
Well, I'm sure by the middle of the day they came together. It just took some
yeah.
time. Yeah.
well, but some bozo picked 11 pieces, so they only had 15
It's
to
funny
30
because somebody
minutes
else told me exactly the same thing recently.
I know. So they didn't get to practice 2 or 3 hours and then record the song.
It's just funny because I get you and I get Emily and I get Scott and then I get Brian, our sound guy, in the room. That's 4 perfectionists making this happen. That must have been fun.
And 2 really serious perfectionists. And which
You and
2
Emily?
of those are, I don't know.
Well,
I've had to dial down my perfectionism and become the good enough person in this.
Brian makes you
Good
all
enough
look
to
less than
remember.
perfectionist. That's the good thing about having Brian around.
Yeah.
Because there's
He
nobody
pays attention to
more-
every detail.
every single
For sure.
detail. So Emily, what do you in your mind when we finish this weekend? What do you hope will have happened? If you had your most exciting dream come true, what would it look like?
Oh gosh. That people would watch and that people would feel connected to the message as a part of it. That even though Christmas is very unconventional this year, that we can still celebrate the hope of Christ at Christmas, and that we can come together in new and unique ways and make new traditions or modify what we've done before, and that we can still find that joy and hope together.
And Scott, what's your hope?
Well, I think that we're a little spoiled here at Columbia in that some of the things we pull off are way above our heads in terms of professional seeming level. I don't know many churches like ours that could have, say, last year pulled off that battle scene at the beginning
That was
of
the
our show.
best.
And then I love that. And then this year, how many other places are going to be able to pull off this type of show that we're putting together? I'd really like to have, when people finish this, the credits or whatever goes fades to black. It's, wow, that was good. How did they do that?
Yeah, that's awesome. And Butch, how about you? What would you like to
I,
hear after
I
you
want
finish this weekend?
I want people both young and old to know that Columbia loves them and that they have experienced the hope and the peace of Christ this season.
So that's
That's
all good
that's
stuff, and it's
yeah.
3 different visions that you sort of build into one. So I hope it'll be a great weekend. I hope it's going to be a great. I do think this will be a Christmas we won't forget, and I do think there will be a year from forward 10, 20 years. We're all talking about this Christmas, even though it was the hard one, and remembering this was like. So Aaron, what do you think, Cyril? You're speaking for Cyril or you? What do you hope will happen after this weekend?
Well, I was sure that Bush was going to say that he could sleep for 24 hours, but
Well, that's going to happen. He won't know what anybody's saying until Wednesday
Yeah.
after this is
yeah,
over.
I do hope that it offers some insight into the amount of work that people are really pulling together to make sure that our church continues to serve the community in a continuous way, and in a way that a lot of other churches aren't able to necessarily serve their members. And so I mean, I think there is sometimes it's hard for people to envision what really goes on to make things happen. And instant gratification and the fact that we can all just zoom into each other's living room can maybe have people forgetting that there's a lot of effort that goes behind that. So I think it's a nice culmination of the talents and skills that have been pulled together this year just to even make Sundays work. So I would hope that people would see it and just feel that type of energy and passion and honest to goodness hours that just went into making something for others.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm really grateful to the 3 of you because Emily especially, I sort of sympathize with you because I can't imagine what it would have been. You wrote the drama that would have been this play, and I've written the one the last 3 years. And if we'd hit this snag, I would have been so disappointed, and I think I would have crawled into a hole. And instead, you just rose up and said, "Okay, this is the deal, and I can make something happen." And you became sort of a catalyst, and other people were willing to make that dream come
Well,
true.
I would
So
say though that it was really a God thing when we were talking about this. We had a meeting over Zoom, and Butch was there. I can't remember who else was there, and we were talking about this. And within a matter of seconds, I'm like, well, we could do this, 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 this. And I'm throwing out all these ideas. And, within a couple hours after that meeting, I had the kind of the outline of all of these different sketches. And there's no way that was just from within me. That was a Holy Spirit thing. Being able to be like to pivot from one thought of, well, we're going to do this drama that I have been working on for like a year and a half to, well, now I'm going to write this whole new script in 3 weeks and we're going to do this year instead. And so you're trying to give me some credit that I probably don't need the credit for because it was totally a Holy Spirit thing.
maybe so. You have to be willing. So next year we'll do good news. That'll be exciting. I'll
We'll
look forward
see.
to it.
Who knows?
But I'm looking forward to Saturday night. I will be there at the premiere with my viewing pack, and we will be watching. And I really look forward to seeing what you guys have put together. And I'm just so grateful to all of you. And so, frankly, we've had to think about all of Christmas this way. And Butch, maybe you and I can talk about this just briefly before we go off. The Broadway musical loss was hard for me. Christmas Eve for me, it was like you put a knife in my chest. I just can't. I cannot fathom not being in church on Christmas
Yeah.
Eve. And Scott said the same thing, and I had a conversation with Emily and Scott recently, and they said the same thing. Emily's a preacher's kid like I am. We were always in church, Emily, and Scott may as well have been one. He was always in church, and I'm sure Butch, you were too. And Aaron, different story, but recently I'm sure you've come to love it. Um, and the moment I recognized that, it was harder than Easter. That's embarrassing to say, because Easter should be harder. But honestly, just not thinking of being there was really hard. But I think we are putting something together that we will remember in 20 years, which is we are inviting you into my home. You will come into my home on Christmas Eve. It's going to be simple. It's not overproduced. It's not. It won't be heavily edited. I just got to tell you, it's going to be sort of what we're doing. But we're going to sing some carols with you, and light candles as we always do. And I hope that this will be really meaningful. And you're going to need an Advent wreath, or just 4 candles in a square, and 1 candle in the center, and 1 candle for everyone who participates. So Butch, you're in this one with me. So the others aren't. They'll have to. The others on the screen will watch. But what do you hope will happen on Christmas Eve?
Again, it's that heart connection. Christmas Eve is it's a beautiful service. You think of light, you think of the hope, you think of the candle lighting at the end, the arc of the worship service that takes place as we celebrate the joy, and then the sanctuary goes dark, and then it comes back to life with the candle lighting. All of that beauty, and I'm sitting in the sanctuary right now, and Christmas Eve, there's not going to be anybody in here, and that is a huge emotional thing. But with what we're going to try to do virtually, again, we're trying to keep the body of Christ connected with these moments of worship. So
Yeah,
we're going to do the best we can. Chris and William, that's going to be their baby. I'm going to assist them. We're turning the tables on this one.
Well, I will be glad to have them in my home, and be glad to have everybody else too. I will say this, I do think there's something to timing. So Emily said, I hope you'll watch when it premieres. And Christmas Eve, I think the same thing. If we can envision ourselves together, even though we're separate across the region, I think there's some power to that. So I hope that we can not just say, hey, I'll watch it Christmas Day, or I'll watch it 26th, or I'll watch it at midnight, or whatever.
That's one of the things that you've talked about from the very beginning about our worship. We're going to be live. We're going to be relational, keeping the rhythms as the body of Christ together, and those rhythms of worshiping. Yes, we love the digital world. We love video on demand and all those things, but there is something about we're worshiping together at 9:30, 11:15. We're going to participate as the family of Columbia Saturday at 6 o'clock. We're going to celebrate Christmas Eve together.
At 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock. There's an unspoken connection there, and I firmly believe that it's important that we keep those rhythms. So.
I do too. Well, it's still Christmas, and the true meaning of the season comes in. And I'm glad all of you have been here for Soul Cafe and to consider this. We have one more week of Soul Cafe, then Aaron and I are going to take a couple weeks off. Right, Aaron?
Yeah.
And come back. It's the material that gets hard to stack up. And then we'll come back and see you again. And we hope you have a magnificent week. And for goodness sake, on Saturday night at 6 o'clock, be watching as this production is carried forward. What is the name of this production? I can't even remember.
A very merry unconventional Christmas special.
Unconventional Christmas special.
And Jim, can we talk about Spend Yourself for just a second?
Yeah, we're late, but we can.
Okay, just be prepared to support Spend Yourself. That's been a huge thing for us with the program. Every year, proceeds go, and we're talking, $2,500, $3,000 every year goes to Spend Yourself. So we're going to have that giving moment in the production.
But it's going to be different, because we're not going to sell you tickets to this, which is
correct.
Yeah, how those proceeds come. So be prepared to support Spend Yourself. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week on Soul Cafe or sooner. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.